Okay, this is a video that covers doing the first oil change on the Ducati Diavel. The tools you will need are a 5mm Allen, a 4mm Allen, some kind of razor blade, razor knife, or other thin bladed instrument to peel back the sump cover. This is the sump cover. This is the oil filler bolt, or the oil drain bolt. You can see it has the same magnetic bit like the 1098 and other superbikes have. This is the pre-filter that you'll pull down once you pull off the sump cover. These bolts that hold on the sump cover look like they've got a little anti-seize compound, and the sump cover is stuck on with the usual Ducati ThreeBond. So it's on there pretty tight, and trying to get it off is kind of a pain, so I use a handy-dandy razor knife to kind of wedge in between and pry it loose, and it ended up falling in the oil pan, of course. So once you clean that up, you can put it all back together. But once you get that plate off, then you can pull the sump pre-filter out with a pair of needle nose pliers. Basically, this part will be sticking down like that, down from the bottom of the motor. You just take the pliers and you grab this little piece right here, and you just give a nice little tug and it'll pop right out. Super easy. And then once you get it out, there'll be a few little metal bits in the mesh, but usually down toward the bottom, and you can just kind of use a light compressed air or just a rag, and most of it will come off pretty easy. And then once you get everything apart and the oil drained, you just put it right back up in there. For reference, for people who have not done an oil change on a Ducati before, the sump is right, if you look at the Ducati Testastretta and oil level sight glass, the sump is right below there. And here it is. These are the 4 bolts that hold the sump cover on, and then the drain filler bolt, or drain plug bolt, is right there. And the drain plug, you definitely want to use a light breaker bar or a torque wrench like this with a hex head on it, or hex bit, 5mm hex bit. And then I would not recommend using that to crank the bolt back down, because you don't want to over tighten it. You just use a regular old Allen key for that, and then the 4mm Allen key to do the sump cover. The sump cover came off really easy. They weren't cranked down at all. I think some of the ThreeBond was holding it on, so you just want to snug all these bolts back hand tight when you're done, and then you should be good to go to refill and do the oil filter. Oil filter is pretty straightforward. It's just right next to the sump, right there, and a regular old oil filter wrench will take it off. If you have to, there's a process where you can tap a screwdriver into the oil filter. I only recommend that in emergency situations where you don't have other tools. And if you get a K&N filter, it actually has a nut welded onto it to make removing that real easy. The Ducati oil filter remover socket is actually up around 90 bucks. You can find them at AutoZone and other auto parts store pretty cheap. So that's what I'm about to go run and do right now, because I've been using K&N filters on my 1098 over there, and it just makes things so much easier. So if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to help you out. Thank you much. Have a good ride.